Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 15 Beta 4 has been out for a couple weeks almost at this point, and I wanted to go over the good and the bad. I've been using it on my main device, my iPhone 12 Pro Max, for that amount of time, and thought we'd talk about what it's like since we have a better understanding. Now, the first thing is new features. One person, Halide, which is an app developer, found that the flare issue that people were having with the iPhone 12 series is now gone with Beta 4, where it can remove it using AI. So that's something that they've found that we haven't seen before. So Apple is removing that flare that so many people were complaining about, and that's a great thing. You can also set up account recovery, so if you forget your password in iOS 15, you can then send that information to someone else. You can find this by going to Settings, then we'll go to your name, then under Password and Security, go under that, and then you'll see Account Recovery. You can set up a recovery account here, so tap on that, and if you forget your password, you can set this up so that you can get it somewhere else and recover your account should you forget that information. So that's nice. That was discovered in iOS 15. It's been around for a little while, but I haven't mentioned it in other videos. Now, another thing that's been pretty controversial is CSAM, or future iOS 15 versions allowing for scanning of photos and messages to help better protect children. And I've read quite a bit of information about this, and you can see that on Apple's website under Safari. And in Safari, if you go to that website, I'll link it in the description, you can see exactly what they're doing, how it's going to work. And no, they're not scanning on an individual basis, but rather using some pretty clever workarounds to keep everything private. Now, this is questionable in the future as to what could be done later on, but right now it's to protect children, and I would go in and read about this first and see what you think, and then there's even more information at the bottom about exactly how it works. It's quite technical. Under the technical summary, I read the entire thing. It's quite technical and quite clever as well. But again, the concern for me is more in the future rather than right now. But I would advise you to read this, let me know what you think, and if you'd like to see me maybe do a video about it, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is a leak of AirPower by Giulio Zampetti. This is something we had been looking forward to for years that Apple canceled, and it looks like there's at least a prototype sitting around. So that's really nice. I wish someday they'll release it. Maybe they will, but it looks like it's never going to happen. Now, as far as the overall good about iOS 15 Beta 4, there's quite a bit good about it. In general, it's fairly stable. I haven't had any crashes. That doesn't mean nobody had any crashes, but I haven't had any crashes with the exception of some apps. So in general, it's working okay. Widgets are working okay for me, and the overall usability is fine. There are occasional graphical glitches, and a lot of the glitches and notification errors and things like that I was having are now fixed because I had to reset my settings. So if I go into Settings, I went to General, then I went all the way down to Transfer and Reset iPhone, and then I reset my settings. I did not wipe the phone, I reset it. That seemed to fix a lot of the issues I was having that was there before that is no longer there. So this is a great thing. It fixed many of the major issues I was having with the beta overall. So I'm glad to see that's been resolved. Now, I wouldn't recommend that to everyone because it changes everything. It wipes all of your settings for everything, including networks, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, everything. So you have to kind of start over, but all of your apps will be in place, and it seemed to fix quite a few things. Now, performance overall has been pretty good for most people. Most report that it's fixed the issues they had before, whether that be with scrolling or just general performance overall in Geekbench scores. It seems to be much better, and they've fixed that with this particular beta. But there is a lot that still needs to be fixed in this update. So some resprings are being reported by people still. Banking apps are still crashing. When I was trying to show you the AirPower thing just a moment ago, Twitter kept crashing the first time I would open it. That seems to be a regular reoccurring thing. And also Apple Music seems to be skipping for a lot of people still. And there continues to be Bluetooth issues, Wi-Fi issues, and just Spotlight search issues in general. So a lot of strange things still going on, but it is a fairly middle of the road beta at this point, and I think we'll see a new one pretty soon, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But as far as the Bluetooth issues, that seems to be a continued issue even on iOS 14.7.1. So if you're connecting via Bluetooth, there's definitely some issues going on as far as that goes. Now, there's some other issues that are going on with iPad as well, so let me talk about that. Now with the iPad, I've been having some issues with the screen overall having some touch responsiveness issues when I'm tapping on different things. I've also had email overlap itself. I had to reboot to fix that issue. And others are saying that music is just cutting out. The speakers are not working properly sometimes, and the music will cut out in general. So there's continued issues, but I would say the iPad seems to be a little bit more stable overall. So those are all the major bad things about this update. My battery life on the iPad continues to be mediocre. At best, I would say probably 5 or 6 hours of screen on time. If we look at yesterday, I had 3 hours and 1 minute of screen on time and 11 hours and 17 minutes of screen off time. And I charged it a couple days ago, but today I only used it for 7 minutes. So we're talking about 4 hours of screen on time, and I have 19 minutes of battery, or 19% battery left in the iPad. So it should be getting 10%. Maybe I'll reset the settings on here as well, and hopefully that resolves it. Now, like I said, some people are continuing to have Wi-Fi issues. Now, I don't know if it's with specific routers, as we don't have any information on that, but there does seem to be an issue with that. And people continue to say that their phone is getting overly hot or warm. So maybe some background processes are going on. I notice when I reboot my phone before I reset my settings, it got really warm all of the time. So I'd reboot and it was very, very hot. Now it's okay, but it was having that issue before. Also, people continue to have issues with green tint as well. So that's a continued growing issue that seems to be going on. And Apple fixed it last year with the iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max in about mid to late August with a public release. So maybe we'll see that, but I haven't had that issue on my 12 series devices, but there's quite a few people who have. So it's definitely a concern for a lot of people. As far as overall battery life, well, let's go back here. We'll go into my battery life and battery health. This is my main device. I'm now down to 96%, and we're almost a year into having this device. 90% or so after a year and 80% after 2 years is completely normal with regular charging. I charge this using MagSafe every single night, and when it's in my car, it's wireless charging as well. So that's pretty typical of how I've charged every phone, and this battery's holding up about the same as my 11 Pro Max did as well after about a year. So it's typical use, and the updates don't cause this to go down, it just remeasures it. So we're seeing this go down about at normal rate, at least for me. Now, my overall battery life, if we go to the last 10 days, you'll see was probably not too great. Yesterday looks okay, but I had it on the charger a lot. So if we go a couple days out, I had 4 hours and 24 minutes of screen on time, 3 hours and 12 minutes of screen off time, and used about 40% of my battery life. And now that's giving me 8 to 10 hours of screen on time since I reset the phone. So resetting those settings, if we go the days before that, prior to resetting it, you'll see I had similar usage time or battery percentage usage, but I only used the phone for about 2 hours and had the same amount of battery drain. So that resetting of all the settings definitely seemed to help with this update. So it's great to see this. This seems to have restored my battery life. And again, I'll probably do that on the iPad as well. Now, as far as when to expect iOS 15 Beta 5, I would expect that Monday or Tuesday at this point. 2 weeks would be Tuesday the 10th, and so it seems likely that we would have it on the 10th or 11th, sometime around that point, where we'll have a developer release with a public beta the same day or the next day based on how they've been doing this. So that seems very likely this coming week, and I can't wait to see what it has. I would expect some new features, some refinements, and of course bug fixes as well. And as soon as that's out, I'll be sure to let you know. Now let's take a look at the YouTube community poll and some of the comments. So I let the poll run for a couple of weeks on YouTube, and it has 39,000 votes, which is incredible. So this is including both iOS 14.7.1 and iOS 15 Beta 4, and we have 592 comments. Now before I did this video, I went through quite a few of the comments, anything that was new over the past week that I didn't read before, so I wanted to make sure we're having the same sorts of issues that I mentioned earlier as far as good and bad. So let's take a look at some of the comments. So you can see 53% of you are still on the public version of iOS 14.7.1, and only 26% of you are using Beta 4. 12% of you are on older versions, and 2% of you are on iOS 12 or older than that. And 7% are on Android. So again, thank you for voting if you've done that. I always appreciate this feedback, and I think it's great to be able to share this with everyone. Now let's take a look at some of the comments. Uzman says, I'm using beta 4 developer version and suddenly Face ID is not working. Is it a problem getting because of software or my device? I haven't heard of this as far as the software causing it. So I would check the device, maybe reboot it, see if it resolves it. But I haven't heard of that unless you reset all of your settings. Then you may have to set it up again. Oswin says, running iOS 15 beta 4 on iPhone XR, very smooth, but Safari feels sluggish, especially on input typing. Other than that, all good. I forgot to mention that quite a few people say that Safari is very slow when scrolling. So if we go back into Safari, sometimes people are having very slow scrolling or stutters throughout. But so far it seems to be okay for me, but quite a few people are reporting this. Alexander says, iOS 15 public beta 4 works well, battery life is excellent, I'm getting used to the URL bar on the bottom of Safari. I'm still not really used to that, but problems are fixed there. Ryan says, iOS 15 Beta 4 on iPhone 8 Plus. Beta 4 has been running pretty good for me. Much smoother performance compared to Beta 3, still having some random crashes with Safari, Notes, and Twitter. The battery life also seems to be slightly improved from Beta 3. Ashley says, I have iPhone 12 Pro Max Graphite and seems to be working great on iOS 15 Public Beta 4. Gerald Vino says, using iPhone 11 with iOS 15 Beta 4, battery life is decent, especially for a beta. Have had a few random app crashes and a bit of overheating with a few apps running longer than usual. Overall, runs great. Manikandan Sakar says, I'm using iOS 15 Beta 4 on my iPhone 6s. Apps are getting crashed at sometimes when opening it first time. Ultramet says iOS 15 Beta 4 still glitchy and battery life is still down with Beta 4. It will get there in due time. Richmond says, running iOS 15 Beta 4 on my iPhone 11, it seems to have glitch accessory is not supported for my wired Lightning earphones and Anchor fast charger. Betrarodi Azaki says, I'm on iOS 15 Beta 4, battery is going down fast. I had one crash when I tried to use manual DNS on Wi-Fi settings. It crashes and goes to the home screen. And so that's everything with iOS 15 Beta 4, the good and the bad. Let me know your overall experience in the comments below and what device you're using. I'd love to hear from you there as well. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.